structures, there's misalignment, and depending on who's in charge, they will tell you this is something that is not allowed or not tolerated, and let's get rid of it. And so then, I could be Hitler and be very charming, very influential with my speeches, with my intention to be to kill all the Jews and to kill anybody who's not just like me and who's not, if they're handicapped, if they got any issues, we need to get rid of them. And we, as humans, if we look at history, we've been really insanely influenced many times. My hope is that at this point on the planet, at this time on planet Earth, there's enough consciousness here to wake up so that we don't keep believing this, so that we don't keep following the misaligned leaders, and that we actually become these leaders ourselves. We awaken to the fact that we have power and that we don't have to give our power away, and that we can cultivate a powerful change and shift on this planet. And we can do that with integrity, and we can live in alignment in a way that we thrive, and so does everyone around us. So I'll pause for a sec. Anything?
Yeah.
Okay, what you got?
All right. Ron says, aligned leadership.
Mm-hmm.
As a leader, that person most likely believes that they are in alignment. There are good leaders and bad leaders in the public eye, but if we, as the people, choose or allow that leader to be in charge, then we seem to go with how they lead. Hitler believed his ideas were in alignment, so then it seemed like most of Germany believed the same, although it was totally off. And Eileen is saying, I would love to see everyone, including myself, continuing to improve, heal, and take responsibility for our own lives. What would the world look like if for one day everyone stopped participating in all control systems and created something else instead? I feel that is what is needed to heal ourselves, to take a whole direction on this earth. And Ron says he agrees, and he says, remember Uncle Buck? He totally questioned the principles on her way of doing things. You could sense that the rules she practiced did match up with her personality.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And yes, all of that sharing is awesome. And for Ron's, examples, yes, we can have very influential leaders that we blindly follow. And I find it interesting that so many structures will refer to those people as the flock or as sheep, because that's exactly how they behave. Yet, what if we all woke up and realized we're not a sheep? We don't need to be herded around. What's going to happen is like what Eileen mentioned, we have to take ownership over our stuff. If we're not conscious enough and courageous enough to take full ownership and responsibility over our own stuff, then we fall victim to being the prey and to being a sheep. Because now we feel that we can't make it unless we follow this one or unless we go along with this structure. So then we, in a form, because we feel desperate, we feel urgent, we start to take from the misaligned ones. Kind of think of like a gangster. Like they'll give you something, but there's a cost. Like, I'll help you out with this. I'll give you this payment for your sister's wedding or something. But I pretty much own you after that. And we can all feel that feeling. Say you're going to go to college and, hey, you want to get an education? You want to make it? You want to be somebody? That's fine. We've got all these programs for you. And we're going to have you sign on this line. And in a sense, we own you now. And if you don't pay and we don't get what we say, we're going to cause you a lot of suffering. And we say that you might make it, but we're never promising you will make it to be anything. And so we are feeling desperate. We're feeling afraid. So we go sign on the dotted line. Whatever that dotted line is, it could be marriage. It could be college. And I'm not saying college in its essence is bad. I'm just saying there are structures that are out there, credit cards. Come, we can give you money now. We love you. We care about you. No, they don't. They are really making a shit ton of money off of you because you don't have the money now. So they're pretending to be your friend to give it to you, but there's a cost. There's a high cost for it. And I feel that all of these different systems are like that same energy of like a credit card. It appears to be helpful, but big picture, is it really helpful? And we need to start being more tuned into that. And I feel that the essence is, like Eileen mentioned, we have to heal ourselves. We have to remember how powerful we are. If I'm really awake and aware and realize my power, I won't submit. I won't tolerate less than I know I deserve. I won't put myself in situations that are terrible and out of alignment and feel like I have to because I got to make money. And there's so many systems that we can look into of how this happens. And so if we don't get too distracted by all the various ways this can happen, and we just focus on how can we wake up today? Like, what if that's just the question? How do I stay awake every day? How do I maintain awareness 24/7? This is why last week we talked about meditation being so important. It absolutely is the most important thing because this is how you connect with your source. There's a book written years ago called The Celestine Prophecy. If any of you have not read it, I highly encourage you to read it because this was written a long time back, and all the stuff he was talking about, it's happening right now. And he talks a lot about the energy systems and how we're taught to, basically take energy as children. And so one of the things that comes to this leadership part is when you're a child, if you're neglected, you're ignored, you're not given respect, you in essence will find a way to get the energy you need. And so there's different ways we'll look for it. Some will become the bully on the playground and they'll hit kids and they'll take their lunch money and they'll take what they want because they want to get this energy. They want to feel like they are supported. They want to feel like they have power and they're in somewhat control over their life. These are like the little mini gangsters in training. Like those kids, they're going to end up being gangsters, politicians. I don't want to say that because I really want to believe that we can have aligned politicians as well. But you see where I'm going. Energetically, I'm going to take it from them. I'm going to intimidate them until they give me what I want. This is one form of energy we learn really young. Another form would be the victim role. I'm a victim. Poor me. I can't do anything right. Everyone always picks on me. And so we go into victim role. And then when we're in victim role, we get energy from people because some people, oh, no, you're not. You're not. I love you. You're okay. Do you want my lunch? And so we learn quickly, whoa, if I act like that, I get the energy I want. Or maybe we're aloof. I don't really care what you guys say. I hate this place. I hate school. I'm not listening to anybody. Oh, Johnny, can I please get you to read this book? And so we start catering to that kid because he's like, I don't care. So all these energies are taught very young. Many of us will learn to play with many of them. We'll kind of dance around and try different recipes to see how we get what we want. But ultimately, you'll end up aligning with one primary one. And if you just check in and are honest with yourself, you know what it is right now. You'd be like, crap, that's the one I used right there. I'm going to have to change that. And or not. But I feel like to really become aligned leaders, yes, we have to be honest with that. We have to look at the fact that we can have compassion for ourselves and realize we were trained to live out of alignment from the start. We were conditioned to play this game in a very competitive way. We were conditioned to compete and compare in general. And really, that's not necessary. But if we tune in and we can see where our misalignment is, like, where is it that I will lose alignment to get the energy I feel like I need? That's the first step right there. Now I'm starting to be more awake, more aware. Then I can say, okay, so I'm doing these things to get energy, and has it really worked? If we're honest, it doesn't work. We think we feel a little better for a few minutes when someone does what we tell them to do, but then we're hungry again not too long later. Or we think that we feel better when we're a victim and then they all cater to us, but then there's that consequence of feeling depressed all the time, and so we start to feel really crappy, and that's not really working out for us. So all these different things are systems that we play to get the energy, and they're not really serving us. They seem to be, but it never lasts. And so when we go into the sticking to the path, as Source calls it, stick to the path. There is a very narrow aligned path. And it doesn't mean that if you go walk in nature and I want to paint paintings and this guy wants to play music, that one of them is the right way and one's wrong. It doesn't matter. But there is an aligned way for every human. There's an aligned way to practice. There's an aligned way to live. There's an aligned way to love and to lead. And then there's misalignment. You have one or the other. And really, if we start to be more tuned into ourselves, we can feel and navigate that vibrationally any moment. If I'm feeling really good and I'm in my power and I'm feeling confident, I'm speaking up for truth, I feel good. It feels amazing. I feel connection to source. I feel like I'm channeling energy that I don't even maybe understand, but I'm ignited. I'm on fire. I feel like I have passion and purpose and influence, and I'm very happy. I feel happy. I feel high vibration. This energy, this alignment, you can't trick yourself. It's either there or it's not. Same thing. I could be painting a painting or, just laying in my bed, quiet, listening to gentle music, connecting to my breath. And it's a more peaceful experience of that same alignment. But now I just feel I'm just present. I'm right here. I'm right now. I'm just vibrationally present. I feel at ease. I feel at peace. This is really what every human is ultimately seeking. But some of them just don't know it. Some of them think that if they go and kill a bunch of tribes and kidnap the children and make them become little warriors, and they get drugs and beer and alcohol and drugs, or I said drugs, and they can just intimidate people and then they feel more powerful. If they're honest, whenever that high comes down of that drug or that alcohol starts to fade or they don't have any more money, they start getting anxious again. They start seeking more. It will never stop. If you're a house mom and you are just bored and you don't feel you're living your purpose, you don't feel like you have power in your relationship, you feel ignored, neglected, you're going to go out and maybe you go shopping and you feel good while you're shopping for a little bit, like, ooh, I got all this stuff, I can get anything I want. And then you're hiding the receipts and you're hiding stuff and you're afraid and you've got freaking 20 grand in credit card debt. You feel like crap. In truth, the anxiety comes back and you start to feel anxious. You start to feel fear. This is the energy that no matter what form we're seeking, if it's out of alignment, it will always give us this rush followed by this anxious feeling. If you go right to the path and you're practicing conscious meditation and you're just connecting with breath, you're remembering your power, you're coming back to self, I promise you the ultimate result of it, whether you get worldly riches or you don't, is you will feel at ease, you will feel peace. That anxiety, that fear will dissipate. It will go away. And this is what every human is truly wanting. Every one of you that's seeking in an external way, you truly want to feel the peace of source. You want to feel whole. You want to remember that you're loved, you're supported. And if each of us just woke up to that and practiced that, look at what would shift so quickly on the planet. Because the ones that are leading you to consume more are doing that because they feel they need to get more from you. The ones who are leading you to take more, they're doing that because they're taking. So if we really pay attention to who we're aligning with, because there will be humans that we find that are leaders to us, until we awaken. Even I consider myself a very awakened, aware being, and I see leadership a lot. When I look out, I see humans that are in roles of leadership that I look up to. I have reverence and respect for. But I don't feel like, even if I have reverence and respect for, say, Oprah Winfrey or Nelson Mandela, do I feel like I have to go and blindly follow them or just do whatever they say? I look up to these beings because they live with integrity, they live with their power, they're looking out to find solution and to assist humans, and sometimes they get out of alignment. Sometimes they're human, they're spiritual beings having a human experience, and so they may have great moments of blissful connection where they're leading with influence and power, but then they can have moments where they've lost alignment and they're anxious and they're fearful. So the lesson of that is, if we keep seeking leadership externally, meaning like I have to be like a groupie to a rock star, it's like we slow down our own evolution. If someone comes and they hang out with me in a workshop and we're working on, talking about how do we become an empowered empath. We just had a workshop this weekend and we're talking about that. What does that mean? How do I really embody my power? I can be offering this workshop as a leader and assisting them in remembering who they are without ever having to be in an egotistical place of controlling them or in a place where I'm trying to bully them around energetically or cause them to attach to me in a codependent way. I feel this is something we have to really look at with leadership in all forms. If I am offering something to assist humans that are ready, I just invite, it's an invitation. And if they come in and they're ready for that, They're open, they're receptive. This is a